Harinder, thanks for joining. I'm Elena. Let's cut to it. Describe what ransomware looks like today, not the old-school file encryptor, but the full campaigns we've been seeing.
Sure, Elena. Ransomware today is an attack chain. It's not just a single payload that suddenly encrypts files. Attackers typically spend days or weeks inside an environment before they flip the switch. During that dwell time, they recon the network, hunt for critical systems, and often steal data. So what shows up to most teams, the encrypted files, is usually the last step, not the start.
Right. And what does that change for defenders? Give me the high-level pivot, Harinder.
It changes everything. Instead of relying on AV signatures alone, defenders need to treat ransomware like a multi-stage intrusion. Stop initial access, protect identity, narrow lateral movement, and isolate backups. If you only focus on encryption, you're responding to the symptom. If you defend the chain, you can disrupt the attacker long before they encrypt or exfiltrate sensitive data.
Okay, let's talk initial access. What are the most common entry points we need to close?
Most initial access comes from phishing, stolen credentials, or exposed remote services like RDP and VPN. Exposed RDP without MFA remains one of the most common entry vectors because attackers scan the internet and brute force or reuse leaked credentials. The effective defenses are simple and high impact. MFA everywhere, strong email filtering, disable legacy authentication, and reduce exposed services. Every access point you close eliminates an entire class of attacks.
MFA everywhere. Simple, but still not universal.
Exactly. I mean, MFA isn't a silver bullet, but it removes the easiest path for many attackers. Combine that with email protections and minimizing public-facing services, and you cut off a lot of opportunistic intrusions.
After initial access, attackers usually go for credentials. Harinder, can you walk us through that credential theft phase and what tools or behaviors defenders should watch for?
Absolutely. Once inside, attackers almost always try to harvest credentials, dumping credentials for memory, harvesting tokens, or stealing cached credentials so they can impersonate legitimate users and move silently. These credential theft tools are widely available and trivial to run. Key controls here include LSAS protection, credential guard, and strict separation of admin accounts, so compromise of a workstation doesn't immediately give domain-level rights. If attackers can't harvest reusable credentials, many campaigns stall.
So protecting LSS and isolating admin accounts. Got it. And then lateral movement. How do attackers typically move and where do they aim first?
They use SMB, admin shares, remote execution tools, the usual Windows plumbing, to move laterally. They intentionally target file servers, virtualization hosts, and backup servers because those systems maximize impact. So containment comes from making lateral movement either noisy or blocked, host-based firewalls, laps to remove shared local admin passwords, and limiting the ways administrators log in to high-value systems. If you can narrow the attacker's path, you can detect and stop them before they reach the crown jewels.
The crown jewels, file servers, backups. Yeah, quick interruption. Harinder, do you often see backups targeted early?
Yes, backups and virtualization hosts are high-value targets and are often attacked before encryption, precisely to deny recovery, which means backups must be designed with the assumption that domain admin access is possible. Make backups immutable or offline when possible, and, very importantly, test restores regularly. A backup that can't be restored is worse than no backup at all.
Yes, backups and virtualization hosts are high-value targets and are often attacked before encryption, precisely to deny recovery, which means backups must be designed with the assumption that domain admin access is possible. Make backups immutable or offline when possible. Backups, right. But before encryption, we've also seen privilege escalation tricks like Kerber roasting. How should teams defend service accounts and prevent escalation?
Service accounts are frequently overlooked. They often have excessive privileges and weak passwords, and Kerberos exploits that by requesting service tickets that can be cracked offline. Use group-managed service accounts where you can. Enforce a tiered administration model so high-value accounts aren't used on user workstations, and apply least privilege to all service accounts. That reduces attack surface for escalation significantly.
You mentioned tiered administration. Could you expand on that a bit, Harinder?
Tiered admin means separating administrative functions into distinct privilege tiers: workstation admins, server admins, domain admins, and enforcing strict boundaries between them so credentials for one tier don't work in another. It's fundamental to preventing lateral escalation. Without that separation, a single compromised admin account can translate into domain-wide control.
Right. Now, one of the nastier modern changes is data exfiltration before encryption. Why do attackers do that? And how do we change our defenses because of it?
They steal data to increase leverage. If they can threaten public release of sensitive files, victims are under pressure, even if they can restore from backups. In many real incidents, organizations restored systems but later faced extortion over stolen data, which caused legal and reputational fallout. So you need egress monitoring and controls. Understand where sensitive data lives, limit outbound traffic paths, and monitor for large lateral copies or suspicious external uploads. Don't assume backups alone will protect you from business harm.
Makes sense. So then encryption happens, but it's visible and loud. What's the practical goal at that point?
When encryption occurs, the attacker has usually achieved their main objectives. The practical goal at that point is containment and survivable recovery, not heroic firefighting. If your defenses and backups are set up correctly, encryption should be survivable rather than catastrophic. That means you can restore operations without paying ransom, if your backups are isolated and proven.
Let's get tactical. Suppose an organization spots suspicious activity, and you are in the first 15 minutes. What are the priorities?
First 15 minutes are critical. Priority 1, contain while preserving evidence. Network isolation is usually better than random reboots because rebooting can destroy forensic artifacts. Disable compromised accounts immediately. Collect and preserve relevant logs and snapshots, and avoid destructive actions that harm investigations. Communication inside IT is also essential, so teams don't take conflicting actions.
So don't panic and reboot. People always want to fix by power cycling. What should they do instead?
Contain the attack path. Segregate affected network segments. Block attacker command and control where possible, and disable the accounts the attacker is using. Preserve logs and disk images for forensic analysis. If you have an incident response playbook, follow it. If you don't, focus on isolation and evidence preservation and call in response resources.
After containment comes eradication. What does thorough eradication look like in practice?
Eradication means removing persistence mechanisms, scheduled tasks, services, web shells, any backdoors. It's methodical. Search for unexpected service creations, check task schedulers, review auto runs and any new user accounts or delegated permissions. Skipping eradication leads to reinfection. Many repeat incidents happen because persistence was missed. Patience is required. Do not bring systems back until you're confident the environment is clean.
And then the big, hard decision. Restore or rebuild? How should teams decide which to do?
Not all systems should be restored. If a system's integrity is suspect, especially domain controllers, jump servers, or critical infrastructure, rebuild is often the safer choice. Restoration can be acceptable for less critical systems if backups are known good and the restoration process is validated. The guiding principle is trust. If you can't trust the system image, rebuild. A one-time rebuild is painful, but cheaper than repeated compromises.
After systems are back online, what monitoring posture should be in place post-recovery?
Post-recovery is one of the most dangerous windows because attackers will probe for remaining footholds. Increase monitoring of authentication, endpoint telemetry, and network flows. Keep elevated logging for a longer period. watch for anomalous logins, and be ready to roll back or isolate systems quickly. Think of recovery as a phased reintroduction with heightened sensors active.
Final question. What are the core lessons organizations should take away to reduce future risk?
Ransomware resilience is a program, not a one-off project. Start with the basics: MFA and email filtering to reduce initial access, LASSS protections and admin separation to slow credential theft, host-based firewalls and labs to limit lateral movement, and immutable or offline backups with regular restore tests. Assume exfiltration and lock down egress. Build and rehearse a calm, evidence-preserving first 15 minutes playbook, follow through with methodical eradication, and make conservative restore or rebuild decisions. Do honest post-incident reviews and iterate. Continuous improvement is how you lower risk over time.
That's a solid roadmap, Harinder. Any last quick tips listeners can act on this week?
Yes, if you do 2 things this week, enable MFA widely and run a restore test from backup. Those 2 steps alone materially change your risk profile and give you breathing room during an incident. And document your incident playbook so your team doesn't improvise under stress.
Great, short and practical. Thanks, Harinder. This was focused and very usable.
My pleasure, Elena. Stay pragmatic, and remember, encryption is survivable if you defend the chain and prepare your recovery. We'll put a checklist in the show notes so teams can take action right away. Thanks for the conversation.